The Curse of the Blue House. The story you're about to hear is true, and it happened right here in Thailand. This story takes place at a house, a 2-story wooden house painted light blue, built on 200 square wa of land. The front faces a street, the back borders a canal, and is fenced all around. It was the first house to be built in Soi 18. Sek's family moved across the street. This was their 4th house. That year, Sek was a teenager, 16 to 17 years old. He remembers that the owner of the blue house was Mali. Her husband had died many years ago. The villagers called her Grandma Lee. She raised a young girl, Ongun, who was about 10 years old, 4 to 5 years younger than Sek. When Ongun grew up, Grandma Lee quit her job and stayed home, living frugally with her pension, barely enough to feed her daughter. Nam Samran, or rather, Ongun, dropped out of school to become a singer at a restaurant. She would come home late at night and constantly argue with her grandmother, Yai Lee. Later, Yai Lee died suddenly, even though she was still strong enough to go to the market by herself. Ongun then mysteriously disappeared. It is said that she married a foreigner and flew to live abroad with him. One of Grandma Lee's relatives heard that the blue house was abandoned and took the opportunity to put up a for rent sign, pocketing the money herself. If she continued renting it out for 10 years, according to the law, this relative, named Aom, would automatically become the owner of the house and land. No one objected to Aom's actions. Instead, people came to rent the house for 2,000 baht a month, which was neither cheap nor expensive. That was in 1967 because the cost of living wasn't as high as it is today. What Mr. Sek witnessed firsthand, from the moment the first family rented the blue house, was that his house was directly across from it, separated only by a small street. From the 2nd floor of his house, he could clearly see the activity inside. On the first night that Mr. Yik's family moved in, they unpacked and then set up a drinking party to celebrate their move-in, as was customary. Mr. Yik's friends were invited over to drink as well. Mr. Yik's wife and children went upstairs to watch TV in their bedroom, escaping the noise of the drunken revelry. They continued their drinking spree, clinking glasses. The 2 heavy drinkers, who had been partying late into the night and were about to head to the late-night rice porridge shop at the end of the street, were suddenly startled by loud shouting from upstairs. The sound reached Mr. Sek's house. The sound was a loud scream. "Ghost! It's a ghost!" The word ghost is very powerful. Mr. Sek and his family rushed to the gate to watch. They saw some drunkards running upstairs to see what was happening. Someone brought the 3 mothers and children downstairs to calm them down. After some questioning, they learned from Mrs. Tew, Mr. Yik's wife, what happened. "My children and I were watching TV. The TV was set up by the window to let in the breeze from the neighbor's yard. My eldest saw a long arm reaching down from the roof, pointing a finger at my child. My little one was terrified and jumped to hug me tightly. Before I could comfort her, she saw the same thing. Oh my God, it was so scary. Nothing was as bad as that." She was terrified and screamed loudly. "That's it. Are you seeing things, Grandma Tew?" This house has never had any history of ghosts or spirits. If we were seeing things, how could we both see them at the same time? If you don't believe me, ask my daughter. She saw it before me. The drunkards were almost completely sobered up. They weren't startled by what Tew had told them, but by the sound of someone stomping their heels upstairs. They exchanged bewildered glances, since everyone was downstairs. How could there be footsteps upstairs? If they were hallucinating, all 10 of them must have been. So, they gathered around the gate, asking someone in Mr. Sek's family, who lived across the street, about it. Mr. Sek told the truth. "Oh, there are no ghosts at all. I've lived on this side of the street for many years and have never seen a ghost anywhere. But just now, I heard sounds like someone walking upstairs. It was really scary." They talked across the fence for a while, but Sek's family started to feel uneasy and became afraid of the blue house as well. So they invited Yik inside to talk. They talked until dawn before Yik's family finally felt comfortable enough to return to the blue house. Late the following night, the events at Mr. Yik's house became even more terrifying. This time, they saw legs walking down the stairs to the lower floor, but stopping motionless on the third step. They could see a long nightgown covering the feet, but not the person's body. Mr. Yik, his wife, and his children had managed to bring the TV downstairs to watch, and seeing this, they were terrified and ran to cling to the fence of Mr. Sek's house, crying for help. Mr. Sek, we've encountered something scary again. Just come inside the house first. We'll talk about it later. The terrifying sight that Mr. Yik and his family witnessed made Mr. Sek's hearts race. They became increasingly frightened of the blue house, even though they hadn't yet seen anything frightening. Mr. Yik questioned Mr. Sek about the house's history, and Mr. Sek recounted what he knew and had seen, assuring them that there had never been any ghostly hauntings before. He said that the terrifying events had only begun since Mr. Yik moved his belongings in. Mr. Yik and his wife and children endured the horror for 3 nights. On the 4th day, they packed up and moved elsewhere, forfeiting their deposit without hesitation, because a deposit given to the villagers was just money they couldn't reclaim. Meanwhile, Miss Aum, a relative of the deceased Grandma Lee, put up a notice advertising the house for rent. It wasn't long before someone came to rent the blue house for the same price, 2,000 baht per month. The new tenants were a group of students who pooled their money to pay the rent, 4 of them in total. They decided to pay 500 baht each, which was better than each of them renting their own dorm rooms for 1,000 baht a month. These students were modern-minded and didn't believe in ghosts or spirits, so they thought there wouldn't be any problems with the blue house. But little did they know, less than a week later, on the 5th night, the 4 students jumped over the fence and sought refuge at Mr. Sek's house. "Excuse me, sir. We were scared because we saw your house was still on. May we come inside?" "Ah, so what happened? Tell me about it." One of the students, who seemed to be the older one, recounted the incident with a frightened expression. "Wow, but it was only the first night and we had a terrifying experience. We bought liquor, medicine, and grilled fish to celebrate our new home. Ed and Crot both needed to pee at the same time. Ed went to the downstairs bathroom, and Crot went to pee in the banana grove in front of the house. They both had a terrifying experience. Ed saw a woman in the bathroom and backed away. Then he realized there were only men in the house, so he opened the door again and saw the bathroom was empty. He was so scared he couldn't pee. Crod had the same thing too in the banana grove. He came running back, looking terrified, to tell his friends, "Wow, you guys had such a scary experience. You're amazing for staying here all this time. Tonight..." Well, back then it was just a fleeting glimpse, but tonight it was intense. They were throwing things around in the downstairs living room. We went to bed, then woke up in a panic, and went to see what was happening. That's what we saw. What did you see? 2 women, skinny and tall, their heads touching the ceiling. Their eyes were bloodshot, like torches. They were standing there, staring at us like they wanted to devour us. We were terrified. We don't know how we managed to run away to your house. Okay, calm down. Give me 50 baht each. I'll ride my motorbike to buy some liquor for us to drink and relieve the stress. Stay at my house tonight. Okay, luckily, Ed had his wallet with him. So, the well-meaning Sek didn't have to buy the students any consolation drinks. After talking to intellectuals who didn't believe in ghosts, Mr. Sek was convinced that the ghosts in the blue house were indeed very active, but they only troubled the tenants and didn't spread to the neighbors. The next day, the 4 students evacuated their belongings and moved elsewhere, as did Mr. Yik's family. Mr. Sek's family, however, started feeling uneasy and didn't dare look at the blue house at night, but they weren't yet afraid enough to move out. The ghosts continued their work relentlessly because the deceased Mrs. Aum, a relative of Yali, diligently posted ads to rent the house. There was a steady stream of tenants. Once one tenant had a bad experience, another would rent it. bringing in a considerable amount of money for Mrs. Aum. The karma is that the rent is 1 month's rent plus a 2-month deposit, totaling 6,000 baht, but they don't actually stay for even half a month. The next month, someone new rents it again. Making 100,000 baht a year is easy money. 10 years passed, and Aum was nearly legally entitled to own the house and land. However, the last tenant, frightened by a ghostly haunting, somehow caused a fire that burned the blue house down completely, leaving only the land behind. Now, no one could rent the house, and Aum disappeared without a trace, leaving the land overgrown with weeds. As for the ghost that once terrorized the area, it vanished completely. Thank you for listening to Thai Local Tales. I'm Captain Piroj. Until our next journey together, take care, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next episode.